Now coming to the second lecture, that is about antihypertensive drugs. So this is the part 3 of the cardiovascular system and the second lecture for today. So the part 1 of the cardiovascular system we had completed in the last class. So now we are going to see the part 3, that is antihypertensive drugs. So antihypertensive drugs, from the name you can understand these drugs are responsible for controlling hypertension or for controlling blood pressure. So hypertension, it is the leading cause of the cardiovascular diseases globally. Sustained elevated blood pressure refers to hypertension. So always if the blood pressure is on a higher rise or it is always elevated, then it denotes hypertension. If the blood pressure is monitored and if it is treated properly, then it can reduce the morbidity and mortality of the people from cardiovascular diseases. If you see the classification of blood pressure, the normal blood pressure will be, the systolic will be 120 or less than 120 by 80. But hypertension, pre-hypertensive patients will have a sustained blood pressure between 120 to 139 and the diastolic blood pressure will range from 80 to 89. Similarly, stage 1, the person suffering with stage 1 hypertension, they will have a sustained blood pressure between 140 to 159 and the diastolic will be in the range of 90 to 99. And stage 2, the patients will have more than 160 as their systolic blood pressure and more than 100 as their diastolic blood pressure. Now what can be done to control this blood pressure? There are pharmacological treatments as well as non-pharmacological treatments to treat blood pressure. So if any person is suffering with, started to suffer with blood pressure, first and foremost thing is they try, or the doctors and the patient himself tries to control the blood pressure with non-pharmacological treatment, that is without any drugs. But if he or she is not able to control it with non-pharmacological treatment, then they start taking pharmacological treatment, that is they start taking medications. So what are the non-pharmacological treatments? They are weight loss, less sodium intake, stopping smoking, restriction of fat consumption, restriction of alcohol and caffeine consumption. So these are the non-pharmacological treatment. So as soon as the patient is diagnosed with hypertension, then they have to reduce their weight. If they are obese, they have to restrict their sodium intake, and then if they are smokers, they have to stop smoking, reduce fat consumption and alcohol consumption and caffeine consumption. Now if drugs are taken, what do these drugs do? These drugs, they show their action on the peripheral resistance, cardiac output, or both. Peripheral resistance is the resistance which the blood vessel exerts on the blood. Now when the blood flows through the blood vessel, it exerts pressure on the blood. That is known as peripheral resistance. So they try to relax the blood vessels to reduce the resistance of the blood vessel on the blood. So the drugs, they reduce peripheral resistance by acting on the smooth muscles to cause relaxation of the blood vessels. So if the blood vessels are relaxed, blood can easily flow through the blood vessels and the blood pressure will be reduced. Blood pressure. The blood is putting pressure on the blood vessels. So the drugs will relax the smooth muscles of the blood vessels. Pharmacological treatments, we have different category of drugs and most of the category of drugs you have already studied. We have diuretics which are used for the treatment of hypertension, sympatholytic drugs, calcium channel blockers, vasodilators. So all these category of drugs you have studied in your previous lectures. The ACE inhibitors and the angiotensin II receptor antagonists are the new drugs which we are going to cover today. So very briefly we are going to see the other categories of the drugs. So coming to diuretics, diuretics are the first line therapy for hypertension. So they increase uresis, that is urination, and they reduce the blood volume in the body. They reduce the fluid volume in the body, thereby controlling the blood pressure. It is safe, inexpensive, and effective. And it also helps in preventing stroke, myocardial infarction, and heart failure. How do these diuretics reduce the blood pressure? We have seen in the last class, I think they increase the sodium and the water excretion from the body. Among the diuretics, thiazide diuretics are most widely used for this case, and potassium sparing diuretics are also used in combination with thiazide diuretics. Beta adrenergic blockers, that is nothing but the beta blockers. So beta blockers are also having antihypertensive properties. They are also used in different cardiac disorders such as angina, arrhythmias, and they are also used in the treatment of migraine headaches. They can be used either alone or in combination with the previous class, that is the diuretics. Now these beta blockers, as you already know, they block the beta 1 receptors which are present in the heart and they reduce the cardiac output. Apart from that, they also reduce the secretion of renin. What is renin? We are going to see in the next slides. Calcium channel blockers. So calcium is responsible for muscle contraction. We have studied this in the last class. They are also effective in treating hypertension in patients who have diabetes and also if the patients are suffering with angina. So calcium channel blocker, that means these drugs, they block the calcium entry inside the cells, thereby they help in relaxation of the smooth muscles and the cardiac muscles, and they reduce the blood pressure by relaxing the blood vessels also, and they relax the heart also. Among the calcium channel blockers, verapamil and diltiazem, they reduce the blood pressure by relaxing the blood vessels, that is vasodilation, and they reduce the cardiac output. Whereas nifedipine inhibits calcium influx in the smooth muscle, the blood vessels of the heart. So calcium is responsible for contraction. If calcium is blocked, the muscles will be relaxed. So the blood vessels are also made up of muscles. So those will be relaxed also, thereby reducing the blood pressure. Now ACE inhibitors. ACE is angiotensin converting enzyme. ACE inhibitors are those drugs which inhibit the enzyme, angiotensin converting enzyme. So what is the importance of this enzyme? What do this enzyme do? Why it has to be inhibited? What is the reason and why is it helpful to inhibit the angiotensin converting enzyme? Now, what is the actual function of angiotensin converting enzyme? We will first see that, and then we will see why is it important to inhibit that enzyme. So the pathway which is followed whenever the blood pressure falls or the fluid volume in the body falls. So how the body helps to maintain homeostasis, or how the body responds to this situation. The body adapts a pathway which is known as renin angiotensin aldosterone pathway, RAA pathway, renin angiotensin aldosterone pathway. So whenever there is a drop in the blood pressure or a drop in the body fluids, the kidney, it releases renin. Excuse me. So the kidney releases renin. Now this renin goes and it converts the angiotensin to angiotensin 1. So renin acts on angiotensinogen and forms angiotensin 1. Angiotensinogen is released from the liver. So the kidney is releasing renin and the liver is releasing angiotensinogen. Then this angiotensinogen is converting to angiotensin 1 with the help of renin. Now angiotensin 1 is converted to angiotensin 2 in the presence of ACE. We have just now seen what is ACE. ACE is angiotensin converting enzyme. So this ACE converts angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. So the hormone renin is responsible for converting angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. The enzyme angiotensin converting enzyme is responsible for converting angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. This enzyme is released from the lungs. Now this angiotensin 2, as soon as it is formed, it will directly go and act on the blood vessels and it will cause constriction of the blood vessels. It will narrow down the blood vessels to increase the blood pressure. Then it will release aldosterone, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone. So aldosterone is released from the adrenal gland. This adrenal gland is present on the kidney. This aldosterone acts on the kidney and stimulate the reabsorption of sodium and water, and it gives sodium and water back to the body to increase the blood pressure and also to increase the fluid volume. So this is the mechanism by which the body reacts when the blood pressure falls and when the blood fluid becomes less in the body. So the antihypertensive category of drug, that is ACE inhibitor, what are they doing? They are inhibiting the angiotensin converting enzyme. So what will happen when they inhibit this enzyme? When this enzyme is inhibited, angiotensin 2 will not be formed. When angiotensin 2 is not formed, the blood vessels will not constrict aldosterone will not be released, and sodium and water will not be reabsorbed in the body. Thereby, they can be used as an antihypertensive drugs. So, for hypertensive patients, we do not want constriction of blood vessels. We do not want reabsorption of sodium and water. So, that is what these drugs are concentrating to do. That is why they are known as ACE inhibitors. So, they inhibit the angiotensin converting enzyme. When they inhibit this enzyme, what will happen? Angiotensin 2 will not be formed, and when angiotensin 2 is not formed, the next all steps will be stopped. So these are the preferred first line agents if diuretics and beta blockers are contraindicated. So if in some patients, if diuretics and beta blockers are contraindicated, or if they are not properly acting in those patients, then ACE inhibitors are preferred. The name of ACE inhibitors is angiotensin converting enzyme. So these are the most commonly used drugs in the treatment of hypertension. They act by disrupting the renin angiotensin aldosterone pathway. So they reduce the blood concentrations of angiotensin 2. So basically they are targeting angiotensin 2, thereby decreasing the blood pressure. Apart from that, they also elevate the levels of a vasodilator, that means a blood vessel dilator, that is bradykinin. ACE is responsible for breakdown of bradykinin. So angiotensin converting enzyme breaks down bradykinin. Bradykinin is a potent vasodilator. So we need vasodilators. So if ACE is inhibited, bradykinin will not be broken down and there will be good vasodilation. So this is the renin angiotensin aldosterone pathway which is targeted by ACE inhibitors. The next category is angiotensin 2 receptor blockers. Now what do these angiotensin 2 receptor blockers do? So from the name you can understand that they block the angiotensin 2 receptor. So angiotensin 2 receptor blockers are nothing but the angiotensin 2 antagonist, or they are known as sartans, because at the end of their name they will have sartans, losartan, candesartan, etc. They modulate the RAA system. So they block the action of, they block the angiotensin 1 receptors, and they prevent angiotensin 2 from binding to those receptors. Thereby it causes vasodilation and reduces the production and secretion of aldosterone, and they cause decrease in the blood pressure. So these two category of drugs, the ACE inhibitors and the angiotensin 2 receptor inhibitors, they are focusing on angiotensin 2. If the angiotensin 2 is reduced in the blood, then it will not cause constriction of the blood vessels, it will not cause the release of aldosterone, therefore it will not cause reabsorption of water and sodium from the kidneys. So if angiotensin converting enzyme is blocked, then angiotensin 2 will not be formed. If angiotensin 2 receptors are blocked, then angiotensin 2 will not be formed, and then the receptors are blocked. Angiotensin 2 receptors are blocked, so angiotensin 2 cannot bind to the receptor. Then if it is not binding to the receptor, what will happen? all the other steps will be halted. That is, the blood vessels will not constrict, the sodium and water will not be reabsorbed in the body because aldosterone will also not be formed. So this is the pathway, or this is the cycle of reactions which the body actually takes, but the drugs, they are blocking the steps in the middle in order to reduce the blood pressure. That is why they are acting as antihypertensive drugs. So this is about the antihypertensive drugs, the different categories and the mechanism how these drugs are basically acting to reduce the hypertension.